All right. Good evening, good morning, good night, everyone. My name is Brian DeMar Fort for Fathers and Sons Speak. I'm here hosting our podcast today with another special guest, a brother of mine, a man who's known me almost all my life. I've known him almost all his life. He's an excellent father, excellent coach. He's been nominated and won Coach of the Year multiple times over in the sport of wrestling. There's not much I can say about this guy that he's not going to tell you already. He's very straightforward to the point. He's a man's man. And I want to introduce to you guys my friend, Richard Trevino. Give it up, y'all.
Yo, what up, what up, what up?
My guy. How you been, man?
I've been real good, man. I've been real good. How about you?
Man, I ain't doing no good, bro. I'm trying to get to the gym. I'm trying to get to the gym and work out like some people that I know, just to be on that healthy tip. You know what I'm saying? I know you hit the gym a lot.
You got 4:30 a.m. is the only time to go. 4:30 a.m. is the only time to go, bro.
Say it again.
4:30 a.m. is the only time to go.
Hear that? This man's getting up early and getting it. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from?
All right. My name is Rich Trevino. Born and raised Santa Ana, California. Moved around a little bit with my pops. He was in the military. So moved around a little bit, Irvine area. But majority of my life I spent in Santa Ana. Went to Santa Ana Valley, graduated from there, married my high school sweetheart.
Lucky guy.
Got 4 beautiful kids, 14, 12, 9, and 7. 2 girls on the top, 2 boys on the bottom.
Right.
My oldest wrestles for me. She's a beast. She's gonna do something big in her life. And my 2 middle ones, they just kind of want to be cheerleaders, so they're not gonna do much with sports. And my little guy is already wrestling in tournaments at the age of 7. So we're getting them going, man. We're doing it.
Man, you got them trained up right. Train them up in the way they need to go.
That's right.
Get that back, huh?
That's right.
Here at Fathers and Sons Speak, we try to offer a safe space for men to tell their stories. You're not going to be judged by what you say. There's no women in the room looking at you sideways or calling you toxic. So this is a safe space for men to tell their stories. And today, I want to get to the story of who's your father. Tell me about your father.
Well, my dad was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, 1946, I believe. His life wasn't great, but his life wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. He got into a lot of trouble when he was a kid. He was a boy's boy, if you want to call it that. He fucked around a lot. He got into a lot of trouble. He got into gangs over there in San Antonio. He showed me, I've been there all my life. He showed me the streets he grew up on, and he did not grow up with a silver spoon, that's for sure. By the time he was 12 years old, he was running his little gang. And I'm not glorifying this. I'm just saying he was running his gang of 15, 16-year-olds, and they were doing the car swipes and the rim swipes and the, no armed robberies, nothing like that. It wasn't crazy like that, but, they were getting into fist fights and stuff like that. When my dad was 12 years old, he got hit with a metal pipe on the top of his head, and it dented his head forever. And wow. He never went to the doctor, and he never went to anything because his dad was in the Army. My grandpa was in the Army, and my grandpa was a fucking beast. Like, he was one of the meanest, most caringest men I've ever known. He shaped my dad the way he was, and my dad shaped me the way I am now. But I digress. My dad was a man's man. Went through his life in a lot of trouble. And finally, his dad told him, look, man, the draft is coming. You're going to have to get your ass out there in that military. And my grandpa wanted him to go to the Army, but my dad said, fuck that. I'm going to be a Marine. So my dad told me, when you got drafted, they drafted you into the Army. But if you chose to go into the military, you can choose whatever branch you wanted. So my dad chose to be a Marine, a fucking grunt, a fighter, in the trenches, a dirty dog. That's who he was. That's what he wanted to do.
Didn't he also, since I know a little bit of history about you and your pops, wasn't he also a drill sergeant?
Yeah, so that comes later. So let me get into it a little bit. Do we have a lot of time here? Can I get into it?
We got time.
So my dad gets drafted, but goes into the Marine Corps, right? Now, I think back at it, right? And can you imagine me or you, 18 years old, we go to a boot camp and then they say, okay, fucking go fight in Vietnam?
No.
I mean, come on, dude. I played paintball and I died in 2 fucking minutes.
Yeah, we're not built like those guys were back then.
I mean, it's not even a question. So my dad went into the Marine Corps immediately after high school, went to Vietnam, 1967, 67, 68, and he came back in 69 because he got wounded twice over there in Vietnam. 18 years old, got wounded twice, 2 Purple Hearts, came back, and he was in Corpus Christi. Now, how he got wounded was one was a grenade, and he had shrapnel in his back and neck.
Oh.
And my mom was telling me that it looked like she was popping blackheads, but it was pieces of metal from his calves and his back and the back of his head. And he goes back. Now, if any of you are historians or likes history, look up the 77-day siege in Khe Sanh. That's where my dad was. They dropped him off in Khe Sanh, Vietnam. 77-day siege. 77 straight days of fire from the enemy. I'm looking
it up now.
It was something like 30,000 Viet Cong and like 7,000 Marines.
Let me read it for the people. I don't want to interrupt, but let me read it for the people. The Battle of Khe Sanh is one of the most well-known battles of the Vietnam War. During the 1968 Tet Offensive, as many as 30,000 communist Vietnamese forces surrounded roughly 6,000 U.S. Marines defending a combat base on a high hill outside Khe Sanh. The battle and siege lasted for 77 days.
That was Pops. That's where my dad was. And his best friend, he had 2 friends that went with him, 2 best friends. One of them, he's still alive today. He got shot that very same day he landed and never went back. He got shot at 18 years old, and they sent him to Corpus Christi, Texas to heal, and he never went back. They honorably discharged him from the Marine Corps because he wasn't no good. They shot through his butt, blew a nut off, and went into his knee.
And you talking about Uncle Joe?
Uncle Joe, yep. Uncle Joe.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then his other best friend got shot over the water and never even touched land. 32 souls lost before they even touched lands. 18 years old, 32 18-year-olds smoked. Didn't even touch the land.
And Pops was in that.
And Pops was the one that got dropped in and fought for 77 days straight.
Oh my God, that tells me a lot. I didn't know that story, bro. I'm glad you said that. I didn't know that exact detail. Wow. Anything else you got? The good, the bad, and the ugly, Pops. Anything else?
Yeah. So the second time he had to come home, he was on a tank. They were riding a tank through this. They called it elephant grass, real tall grass. You can't see through it. The tank's rolling along, and my dad's sitting on the back, and his partner's sitting in the front. And the partner keeps telling my dad, let's switch. I'm tired of sitting here. And my dad's like, we're looking at the same shit, man. Like, why do you want to switch? And he was like, come on, let's switch. So my dad said, finally, all right, let's switch. So they switch. So my dad goes in the front and that his partner goes in the back. And my dad said not even 1 minute later, they hit a mine, a landmine or an IED, and that guy was vaporized, dude. There was nothing left. No boots, no dog tags, no clothes, no skin, no bones. He was gone.
Oh my God. That's where your dad was sitting.
That's where my dad was sitting. What happened to my dad was he got blown off the tank and it threw him, he said, like 50 feet.
50 feet? Now, that might be an exaggeration from a war vet, but I don't know. 50 feet is far.
50 feet is far, but these are his exact words.
I've never been blown up. So I don't know. I've never been blown up.
Right,
so I don't know.
Right. So he says 50 feet. He was blind for 8 months. And as you know, my dad always wore dark sunglasses, even in the house.
I thought it was because he was a mobster.
No, well, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons. But the reason was because he was blind for 8 months because that flash and everything that what did to him burned his retinas or whatever the fuck it did. And he was blind for 8 months and they sent him to Corpus Christi to heal. And that's where they gave him the option to stay in the Marine Corps or get honorably discharged. And he said, I'm a Marine. I'm going to stay a Marine until the day I die.
My God.
So he went to, my dad was the perfect Marine. And I don't say that because he was my dad. I say that because he did everything that they needed him to do. He did it times 1,000.
Nice. Wow.
He got yard of the month for like 3 years straight because he was on his belly cutting it with fucking scissors, man.
Yard of the month for 3 years?
Yard of the month on base housing. He got yard of the month.
That's like 36 months of getting it.
He was on his belly cutting it with he wanted every blade of grass perfect.
So that kind of sets a high standard for anything that he does.
I mean, that's who he was. So he was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps, right? In the 70s. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about the Marine Corps and you've seen any of those movies, you know how crazy it was.
Yes.
Okay. They told him he was too mean, even in those days. So he became a drill instructor for the drill instructors. He was so squared away. He was right. He was teaching drill instructors how to be drill instructors. That's where they put him because he was too mean to the boots.
That's it's not funny. I'm over here cheesing. If there was video they could see, I'm over here cheesing. But wow, because I know the man, and I've seen maybe the tip of the iceberg of the mean, and it was deep.
Yeah.
To tell me that he was too mean for the Army, the Marines, that you can't even talk to the boots. You gotta talk to the drill instructors and be mean to them because they're the only ones that can take it.
They were the only ones that could take it. So 1984, 85, he gets out of the Marine Corps and retires from the Marine Corps, did 21 years, and then went right into carrying mail for Huntington Beach. He did that for 20 years. And the mail carrying thing is kind of lackluster. He literally, okay, let me take that back. When I would say he's a man, right? This guy woke up at 4:30 every day and didn't come home till 6:30 every day. Now, we're talking about fathers and sons here, right?
Yeah.
As I look back on it, that is a man. That guy worked for his family. My mom rarely had to step foot in a job setting. She wanted to. She worked at Kmart for like 20 years.
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. She worked at Kmart because she wanted to, but not because my dad wasn't hustling and my dad wasn't waking up at 4:30 every day to go do his thing and come back at 6:30. My dad never taught me how to throw a ball, how to play basketball, how to catch, how to do any of that. It was the homies on the corner. It was Joey.
Yeah.
It was Tyrone.
Rome.
It was those guys.
Yeah.
It was you. And now looking back on it, it was you that we started playing ball and started doing those things, throwing frisbees and stuff. My dad,
You had a hoop in your front yard, on touch your garage. I'm like, why are we not playing on this?
Yes.
It's only 8 feet tall. We might be able to dunk one day. Maybe.
So that was my dad, man. He was definitely a man's man. I can tell you more stories, but we might be getting a little bit over the time. But my dad was a man's man. He disciplined us when he needed to. Looking back on it, it could have been somewhat excessive. Let me tell you this quick story.
Okay.
You might not even know this one. So I'm 14, 15 years old, right? I think I'm big shit. I'm wrestling, right? I think I'm tough. I'm going to practice every day. I got a little six pack, right? I think I'm buff, right?
Right.
So my dad tells me, hey, man, before you go to practice tomorrow morning, I'll wake up in the morning, but you have to pick up the dog shit from the backyard. And I said, yeah, no problem. 9 o'clock at night comes into my room, and he goes, did you pick up the dog shit? And I said, you know what, Pops? I'm sorry. I didn't get it, but I'll get it before we leave in the morning. And my dad looked at me with the dead face, and he goes, no problem. And he walks out of my room, right? I go to bed. I got to wake up for practice at 7. I get woken up with fucking a glass of water to the face at 3 a.m. Okay?
Oh, man.
You know what he made me do? He made me crawl on my belly in the backyard with a Stater Brothers bag, a fork, and a light, and a pen light in my mouth, crawling at 3 a.m. picking up dog shit. Because I didn't do what he told me. You think I ever did that again?
I'm sure you were Johnny on everything else after that, bro.
Johnny on the spot, my friend.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that. That says a whole bunch. Wow. Let's change gears a little bit and finish this statement for me. It doesn't gotta be off the cuff immediately. You can think about it if you want to. But finish this statement for me. The funny thing about my father is
the funny thing about my father is if you knew him and he liked you, he loved you.
Agreed.
If he didn't like you, you better not even step foot near his fucking driveway, man. Because he would tell you to get your ass out of his property immediately. My dad was a lover, but if he didn't like you or didn't want you around, you knew it. There's not too much of that nowadays.
Yeah, you're right. So Pops being who he was, a man's man, right? A military man, a man of impeccable, let's say, drive to get things done the most perfect he can. Okay. How does that influence your parenting today when you look at your kids? Like what you've seen him do to you and for you, how does that translate to what you're doing for or to your kids?
So there's like a catch-22 here, right? Because do I spank my kids when they need to get spanked? 100%. Okay. Do I overdo it? No. My dad overdid it.
Example. Okay. What do you mean?
So, okay, I'll give you an example. One day he didn't like the way I cleaned my room, and he beat the shit out of me because I didn't do it I didn't clean the room the way he wanted me to. And then he threw everything that I had on the ground in the middle, flipped my bed, threw everything off the shelves, and made me clean it the way he wanted it clean.
Boy.
So I got a piece of advice a long time ago from somebody that said, look at what people are doing and look at what they're doing that you think is bad, and don't do that.
That's pretty straightforward advice right there.
Right? I mean, it's like you see somebody in the store, right? And you see a kid having a meltdown, and the parents just like, come on, Johnny, that's like, no, don't do that. You know, you're gonna go in timeout, right?
Right.
I'm snatching my kid up in the store. That's the bottom line. You know, maybe that's old school, maybe that's that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
I'm snatching my kid up, and I'm gonna embarrass them a little bit, and then they're not gonna do it again. But let me get back to it. I take from what my dad did and said, and I was scared to have boys, man, because I
Really?
knew that I knew I could be tough on my girls because they need it, right? The girls need a little bit of toughness with a little bit of love, right? You treat them like a princess, but also you can be a little bit tougher on them, in my opinion, because like it's like the tough love thing, right? It's like you know, my oldest, she's a beast, right? And I'm not saying that because she's my kid. I'm saying that because she's a beast. And when I didn't let her quit, and when I didn't let her like take the fall off the bike, and she got back on right away, those things you can push, right? And it makes women stronger. So when my girls are women, you know, 23s, 24s, they're gonna look back and say, my dad made me get back on that bike. He made me fucking do that thing again. I fell down, I was hurt, but he made me get back up, right? I was scared to have boys because naturally, as a father, you want to push your son to be a strong man and a fucking beast, and you want them to be this and that, and you want them to have all those attributes to be a good man.
Right. Yes, indeed.
I was scared to have boys because I didn't want to be like my dad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right?
So you feel that Pop's interaction with you would just be mirrored onto your boys, and you didn't want that. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So what are you doing differently then?
Well, so they still get in trouble. They still get a butt whooping every once in a while. But here's the main thing, right? My dad never explained it. Like, my dad would come home. Maybe he talked to my mom earlier on in the day or something. We were being assholes. He would come home, snatch you up, and start cracking that ass.
Right.
Right. And then you're like, what just fucking happened? I don't even know what happened right now. Why am I getting my ass cracked? You're over there laughing and having a good time with your sisters, and you get snatched up and you're getting cracked.
Yeah.
And you don't know why, right?
Right.
I talk to my kids. I explain to my kids what they did wrong. I explain to them what the punishment's going to be. I explain to them why it's happening. I make them tell me what they did. Right? Like, just for example, don't throw the ball in the house. And one of them, like, you want to get tough, and he throws the ball anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I told you. What do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I explained to you exactly what I didn't want you to do. You did it anyway. Here's the consequences. My dad would have just snatched me up, fucked my shit up, and then fucking leave me to wonder why the fuck I got my ass whooped.
Right. But you're doing a better job of communicating with your kids, so they understand their infraction,
right,
and its consequences. So that actually gives them a sense of, hey, you do this, you can get this.
Right.
Not like, oh, I'm going to do something and hopefully nothing happens. Like, no, if you do this, there's consequences to everything.
Right. And I take it there. I take it to the butt whoopings. Trust me, it's not like I'm whooping their ass every day, but I take it to the butt whoopings because I think that's the most
efficient,
way. Yeah. Right. To get the point across.
Well, I mean, you can always have them sit in the corner, but I do agree with you. And a lot of people are not going to like this, but it is what it is. Spanking disciplinary action, it hits harder, no pun intended. But if you just have them sit in the corner, they're going to be, making fun of you and joking around and probably playing on their iWatch or whatever it is, But a spanking is immediate consequences. Right. The pain goes away. But if you also put that layer of explanation on top of it, that also gives them another form of discipline. You actually get to hear, or you make them say it. Tell me what your infraction is. You need to own up to it. It's like accountability. And that's a genius move.
That's 100%. Accountability is what it is. You tell me what you did wrong. And again, I don't spank my kids all the time. I only spank them in certain situations. If it's danger, if they're gonna run across the street without looking or whatever, snatch them, spank them on the butt. Listen, you're not doing that. Or if they're out of control,
out of pocket. Yeah.
Kids are kids, man. Kids are gonna be running around screaming, doing all that stuff. It is what it is. Like, you've been in my house, man. I'm sitting there watching TV with subtitles on because these motherfuckers are everywhere.
Indeed. You got to read that TV. You got to get some break. I'll read the TV. As long as just leave me alone. I get it. So, as a father, you said your dad was born in 1946, and you say that, you ran with a gang. He was tough. He was on the streets, surviving and becoming who he was, in a sense. Do you feel any of that in you? Any of that, I want to get out there and I want to prove myself? Have you seen any similarities in your upbringing, in your growing up, that dad has taught you, pops has told you, that you feel happened to you, or you see it happening for you now as an adult?
Well, it's funny. My dad told me those stories when I was younger, when I was old enough to understand it, maybe 15, 16. And as you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I preach that to my wrestling kids, and it's just something that I've never really got into.
Right.
My dad was into that stuff. So I think hearing those stories and learning from that, and my dad telling me, like, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better than me. I think hearing that made me say, you know what? I'm not going to fucking drink. I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to do that. Did I have the opportunity? Yeah, I did, for sure. The way we grew up, where we grew up, we could have been smoking weed. We could have been doing speed. We could have been doing all that stuff.
It was across the street, Tyrone
and Joey, all them.
They had it all. So,
but I think that my dad explaining that he wanted me to be better than him, and sitting me down, like my dad didn't really sit me down. My dad was a man of few words, but when he sat me down, and you heard some of the stuff that he sat us down, about football games and stuff like that.
Breckenridge High. Oh boy. I remember that.
So those stories.
That man dropped all the racial slurs for every race on his team, and it kept the story going.
But wasn't it okay, though? It didn't feel wrong.
No, when he spoke, it was just a matter of fact. It wasn't calling anybody out their name. What did he say? There's a bunch of niggers and spicks on the front line.
That's what he said.
But I'm not going to say nothing because, like you said before, he'll throw you out.
Right.
And you're not coming back.
Right.
So I'll say, okay, I'll let this wiser man tell me the story. And the story was good. In the end, it was about not giving up. Even if you're outmatched, you're outgunned, you better get your butt in there.
Yep.
And handle that business. So I hear what you're saying. This man sounds like a great man. I know you. You're a great man. What are your expectations for your sons? I know you said your daughter's a beast in wrestling. You seem to have a wrestler and a cheerleader, and a wrestler and a cheerleader in the boys too, right? One was Jesse. Was it Jesse? Just wants to get it in and have fun. Christopher just wants to get it in and have fun.
Yeah.
I think Jesse. Jesse's your nephew. Jesus, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
He just wants to get in. So, how do you? What are you pushing for your boys compared to what your dad put you? Like you said, your dad didn't teach you sports. He taught you more, responsibility. Get out there and pick that dog poop up right now. What are you teaching? What are you pushing on your boys?
Whatever any of my kids want to do, let me just say that, okay? We do it. If they want to go out and play catch for a little bit, hey, listen, I get bored, man. These kids, they don't catch, right? It gets me frustrated, right? I get fucking catch that shit, man. But if they want to go play ball, they get over it after 10 or 15 minutes, right? If they want to, I got a cornhole set. They want to throw the cornhole bean bags. We do that. If they want to do frisbee, we do that. I've been a wrestling coach for 25 years. I've been wrestling 30 years. You know this.
Yes.
I don't push that on anybody. Wrestling is my thing. It doesn't have to be your thing. So whatever they want to do, that's what we do. If they want to play soccer, let's fucking play soccer. If they want to play football, I got a football for them. If they want to play, badminton in the backyard, we do that. Like I tell them that they're gonna have to do something,
Right.
sports wise.
All right.
They don't have to do what I do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't want them to have to live up to what you've done. I'm saying you've gone quite a ways in your college and high school career, and now being coach of the year. That's kind of hard for them to live up to. They might want to choose something else anyway.
And if they do, let's do it. You want to be a cheerleader? Let's do it.
We know professional cheerleading coaches.
Yes, we do.
Right. So I mean, if you want to get that route, go that route. So
yes, we do.
Here at Fathers and Sons, we have a partner in the UK, a friend of Dr. Charles Dorsey. I think you met Charles.
Yeah, I did.
He's in the UK. This young man has a podcast called 40 Weeks for Men. And his podcast is basically geared to new fathers, women are going through their 40 weeks of pregnancy. He tried to get men prepared for their journey. He's got like 3 or 4 kids himself. So what would you, with the knowledge of Pops, Granddad, and yourself as a father, what would you tell a new father to get ready for? What advice?
I like that question. The advice I give to new fathers that I know is it's not real until you see it, right? Don't move until you see it, right?
Right.
It's not real until you see it. You can feel it kicking around in the belly and you can feel it moving and you can hear the heartbeat and you can do all that. But once a man actually sees his child, his blood, his flesh, it changes the game. And you are no longer, it's immediate. You are no longer selfish. You no longer want, expensive bags or shoes or whatever it is. You immediately want to protect whatever that life is.
Yes, sir.
That's what I tell people. I tell people, don't feel bad, because here's the truth. Here's the truth that a lot of people won't say, B. A lot of people won't tell the truth. I don't feel nothing when it's in the belly. I don't see it. It's not, men are visual, right?
We are.
I don't see it in the belly. You can touch it and all that stuff, like I said, but not until that baby came out did I really realize I was in for it. And I needed to protect immediately.
There's a high stakes game going on right now. You know what? That's a lot better advice than what I give. Every time I come across a new father, I always tell them, get some sleep. Remember what sleep feels like. That shit is not going to be the same ever again. So get as much of it as you can and try to remember what it feels like, because that ain't ever happening again. Deep sleep? Never. I don't even get deep sleep when my kids don't even hear. You know what I mean? I sleep lightly because I know that cell phone going to ring at some moment and daddy got to respond. So I can't be, oh, baby, I missed the call. My son ain't going to play that. So, yeah, you give better advice than I did. I was like, man, get some sleep.
Get some sleep.
Well, it's been a pleasure, my friend. A pleasure. It's always the bomb talking to you because you come deep with practical knowledge. And I totally appreciate you 100% doing this for us, fathers and sons. Right now, say your goodbyes. Tell the people where, what you're up to, who you are. Say, you're a coach. Where are you coaching? Let them know, say a little bit more about you before we get out of here. Where can I coach at? Do you do social media? You don't do social media, huh?
I have one Instagram that I don't post on or anything like that. And I always swore and up and down that I would never do it because I don't have any other social media. But I have an Instagram because one of my friends played a professional soccer for the LA Galaxy, and they actually shipped him over to Barcelona, so he's playing for the big dogs over there.
Oh,
So the only way to keep in touch with this guy is through social media, Instagram. And so that's one of the main reasons why I grabbed it. But obviously I'm following a million wrestling pages and stuff like that. So,
he's
but
not lying. He does not do social media. He's been on it for a minute. I've got maybe 3 messages, no posts. That's discipline. That's discipline right there. To have a social media account and like, I'm not going to use it for anything but I think that goes along with how you are too. You're very disciplined to be able to be in the wrestling arena for 30 years, having a father that's a drill sergeant's drill sergeant.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a man's man. I would say he'd be toxic. He'd be categorized as toxic because he was just
toxic
that manly.
Masculinity for sure.
Yeah, but it's not toxic. I mean, we can get into that on a later date, but it's just being a man through and through. And he taught me a few things too, as my 14, 15, 16, and 17 years growing up. He showed me some things in just a few moments, a few sentences. So I greatly appreciate him. And I really appreciate you for showing up for us tonight, brother.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your audience. I appreciate Dr. Charles. I appreciate you even choosing me to be on this thing. I think it's an honor. It's a pleasure.
No doubt. No doubt, bro. You are the man, dude. We've been friends for like 35 years, bro. So I understand that you know, said you got a lot going on and you take the time out of your busy family life to come on here is greatly appreciated. If anybody else out there wants to get a chance to come and speak their piece, talk about their father or their fatherhood journey and what parenting means to them, you can go visit us on our website, fathersandsonspeak.com. There's merchandise there that you can get. There's a place for you to donate if you like this kind of work and you want to be a part of it. You can donate there. And with that being said, my guy, Rich, I want you to have a great night, man. Kiss the babies for me.
I got you, brother.
Sir. Yes, sir. And I'll be in touch with you, man. You got to come down and see me, or I got to go down there and see you. But we got to connect
All
again.
love. Hey, let's do it again, man. This was fun. I like this. We got a lot of topics to speak about. We've been always trying to get on.
Yeah, we do. We always been trying to get on. This is a great vibe for us right here too. Like I said, we're gonna have plenty more topics to talk about. I'll definitely keep you at the top of the line because you go through a lot of fatherhood things and you think deeply about the moves you make. And I think other fathers can benefit from just hearing like what's going on and how you overcame it. We can talk about that too with Omari having sickle cell and your son going through his crisis. Holy geez.
Yeah.
So
Man.
we can always talk about overcoming those hardships as a father. You know what I mean? So the next time I call you, we're going to be talking about overcoming hardships that our kids go through and how daddy's got to deal with it.
That's deep. That's tough.
That's us. All right, my guy. You have a good night.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, my Brad. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right.